place to be is living free in Tennessee.
Welcome to Living Free in Tennessee, where we talk about building the life you choose on your terms. Today is Black Friday, November 29th, 2024, and this is episode 978 of Living Free in Tennessee. And it's the Friday after Thanksgiving, so we're doing casual. I don't know why I came in muted today. That's kind of weird. We're back in sort of our traditional Homestead Happenings place where it's more like coffee with Tactical and Nicole. But you'll notice, as usual, Tactical is not in the house on time. But that's kind of normal for a Homestead Happenings. I told him, if you don't come in at all, whatever, it'll be fine. But he did just walk in the door. So next you're going to hear coffee being made. That's what happens next. It's like instantly happening. He's actually making sure all the water is topped up in there. There's beans. The grounds aren't full, so he can just instantly make a cup of coffee. So I see Margot, Martinson family, Beth, Emily, Pip, and I. So I thought I saw Pack Rat. Yep, Pack Rat's here. Kiri's here. Welcome to our Friday show. We're being a little bit more old school on the Homestead Happenings today. We've already been working to get Holler Roast orders shipped out today, even though technically most businesses are closed today, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I feel like I've put in a half day's work, and it's 11 o'clock, maybe 3/4 of a day work before we even started this. I decided to move the show to a little bit later because I had two friends come into town from out of town and come to Thanksgiving dinner with us. And, they crashed here after Thanksgiving dinner, which is nice to have the glamper, but in the guest room. And then they were sort of like bumbling out the door in the morning. I didn't want them to feel like they had to rush so I could get a 9:30 live done. So that all worked great. So yeah, coffee with Nicole and eventually Tactical, SHPOP of an energy drink. Yep. It's, Tactical's usually late except for that one time. Anyway, we're just going to give you an update on what's going on with the homestead this week. We'll answer any questions you have or talk about, like, if there's something you want to hear about in particular, we can do that as well. I do want to thank our two sponsors of today's show. And the first sponsor is agristtaxadvice.com. Agris Tax Advice works with you to analyze your finances. So you can look at options for structuring your business to take advantage of the tax code and keep more of your money in your pocket. Find out more about that at agristtaxadvice.com. He's also been supporting the show since the moment we launched the sponsorship option. You know who else has done that? John Pugliano of the Wealth Studying Podcast. He's our second sponsor of today's show. John Pugliano recently put a show out that I hear is really good, and I haven't heard it yet. So it's like this week's episode, like 15 minutes, where he's explaining how he's making decisions about the market, and he's talking about the population decline that's happening worldwide, and just talks about what he thinks that means for investment and making money. And here's the thing. He doesn't say like the sky is ending and we're all going to die. He's like, this is how you make money knowing that thing, right? So, and it's very helpful. And he just shares his experiences. Check that out, investablewealth.com. Just click on podcast. You'll see it there, or it's available on any podcatcher. And as you see, Tactical Redneck's made it to the show, and he's even going to put his mic on. How's that? Like next time I'll just clip it to your beard.
It might work. Dense enough.
So Tactical, what were you doing on the homestead this morning? We have a big announcement to make.
Well, I mean, multiple things.
There are 4 fewer hearts on the homestead. 4 fewer hearts. So, Neethi always talks about how many hearts you're taking care of on your homestead, right? And we're taking care of, darn near 50 hearts here. maybe a little bit more than 50.
One of them really didn't want to leave.
Okay. So anyway, so which 4 hearts left?
The chickens.
Yeah, so the
thankfully.
American breast chickens have moved to the Carpenter household, and they live about an hour from us. We've known them for a long time, and when they heard that we had some American breasts available, they came out and got them because they have chickens, and they want to sort of start moving their bloodlines more towards the American breast, which I agree with because the meat is superior on that chicken, in my opinion. But from a commercial sales standpoint, it's not. It's just like I like the darker meat. So their white meat is closer to dark meat in my when we've eaten them. So they left, and it was funny because we were supposed to close them in to be picked up on Wednesday, and Tuesday night forgot to close their automatic door, so it opened, and I was like, "Well, see you Friday." And first thing we did when we got home from Thanksgiving dinner, I was like, okay, I need to cover the garden with the plastic because it's going to freeze tonight. We need to close in the chickens. And there was a third thing that had to happen the minute we got home.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. You were doing all
stuff.
sorts of stuff at that time, but Kurt was helping me because my buddy Kurt was in town. That was really nice to see him.
You know.
Yeah. And I turned the swim spa into a hot tub for the first time. So I swam in it yesterday morning and then turned the heat up to 100 degrees and then went away for the day. And by the time I got home, it was 95, 6 degrees, got up to 99, got in it, sat under the stars. You know how many stars I saw yesterday in the hot tub?
Probably the same amount that I see every night that I'm just outside, not in the hot tub.
No, there was cloud cover. I saw 0 stars last night.
Mm.
But it was nice. It was fun to give that a whirl. And it does, in fact, take all day to turn the thing into a hot tub. So
not surprising.
So I have to plan ahead if I'm going to do it. But that's not the reason I bought it. It's just because, people were in town. And I was like, well, maybe they'd like to sit in the hot tub because I'm pretty sure they don't want to swim laps after Thanksgiving dinner. Although we probably should have swum laps after Thanksgiving dinner. Thanksgiving was great. So the Holler Day Thanksgiving dinner, I usually host here. I have for many, many years. And last year we didn't. We went over to our friend Matt's house, Matt and Ashley. And then this year, the plan was for them to come here. And we just sort of did a group thing here. But they had family in town. And I was like, well, let's just do it at your house again, because I'm not sure what state the Holler will be in from the construction we did. And so I brought some food over there, like a ham and potatoes and some other stuff. And Ashley did a turkey that they grew and a whole bunch of other delicious things. And I thought it went really well. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. They were graciously opened their house up to us, their family, other friends. It was sort of like in the last 7 days, I was like, can this person come? Can that person come? Because it kind of turned into a year where a lot of people from other places were here. And the food was delicious. I also learned of a new cheese shop in Sparta. And it's cheese and meats from, imported. And I'm planning to do a cheese class next year where we learn soft cheeses like mozzarella, chev, farmer's cheese, cream cheese, whatever, probably the feta. And then we end with a pairing of different cheeses from around the world and, apples or wine and that sort of thing. So it'll be a fun experience. I've already started talking to Chef Brett about how can we get that done? I don't know if he's available, but if not, I can do it. It's fine. He's just more knowledgeable about the pairings than I am. So I thought it'd be fun to involve him in that. But the cheeses that were sourced at the Sparta place were really amazing. There was like a cheddar cheese with blue cheese mold in it, which if you don't like blue cheese, that probably sounds really disgusting to you. But I like blue cheese. And I will say that cheddar with the blue cheese in it, whatever it's called, off the hook. So delicious. In fact, as I was walking out the door, Matt handed me a little thing of cheese to go, and it has a couple pieces of that, and you can't have them.
Okay. I like the other stuff better anyway.
No, you could have one if you really wanted to. I wouldn't actually do that to you. Holler roast orders are way up. So like a lot of what I'm doing on the homestead is roasting coffee. Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a
Like-
part of I have the beginning of a rabbit tractor built.
Yeah.
I got that done.
Yeah.
Say what you're going to say.
Well, I mean, like step 1 of 5.
Step 1 of 5. I've been talking about building this rabbit tractor for a month and a half now.
Yeah.
Yeah. These rabbits are going to graduate before the tractor's done, probably on this timeline.
Mm-hmm.
But then there will be a tractor. The next step of the tractor is I need to cut, like I framed it out and I need to cut like the diagonal braces so it actually has some strength to it. And then we need to get the hardware cloth out of the rafters.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to say bad words while I cut hardware cloth the way I want it, while also poking my fingers with it. And then I need to staple it to the thing.
Yeah.
So I'll poke at that in between things, but I also want to paint the door for the little bathroom and get that. You know what? I'm putting that off till Christmas. I'm gonna concentrate on the rabbit tractor and staining that that bathroom
Sink.
cabinet, and then also I would like the kitchen hood to be done. I think those are the 3 things.
Okay.
Yeah. So kitchen hood is hung. It just needs power and a 90. And then it's done. But the just needs power thing is confusing to me because when I looked inside for wiring it, I don't know how to wire that thing.
I haven't looked at it.
Oh,
So.
go look at it right now and tell me what you think. Tell me if you understand why I'm confused when I looked in the hood. Anyway, while he's doing that, guys, the sheep are doing great. We have sold out of lamb, so that's done. And their scheduled time is January, so we're kind of throwing hay and other stuff at the boys to make sure they stay chunky. And I'm hoping that I will get a call next week saying, hey, we had something open up. But if not, that's fine. I'm also looking to source a couple of tomahawk steaks for Christmas. So I have a cow going in, I think on the 18th of December, and it won't be back in time for me to get tomahawk steaks from it if it goes in on the 18th. So that means I would like to find 3 or 4 tomahawk steaks for Christmas dinner because that's really what I want to cook for Christmas dinner. So if anybody knows where one gets those in Middle Tennessee or whatever, wherever, or you're coming from out of town and you know you can source them and bring them in, let me know. It's just something I've been thinking about all year for Christmas is to do tomahawk steaks, which they're fun to cook and they're delicious. And then whatever side dishes we do for Christmas dinner. Christmas this year will be a pretty low head count affair because most people are out of town in the holler, but a few of us will be here. He's still looking at that hood, just so you know.
Okay, I found it.
Okay, yeah. So he's going to come back and tell you know why I was confused, right?
Yeah, but I've seen that before.
Yeah.
And
I figured somebody who'd wired stuff more than I had would have a better idea. So tell them what's going on with the hood.
at first, she said there was something about a 110 plug in there. And I was like, okay, that's not completely unheard of. But then I looked and it was like that 110 plug comes out of the box and is just hanging there. And then in the box, it goes to nothing.
Yeah. Is
And
that
it's
the
like-
plug the lights in?
That plugs into the front. Should already be plugged in, but it's not.
Okay.
So I need to drop a piece of Romex into the box and wire the other end of that to the Romex. So yeah, that's something.
And it's a 110, not a 220.
I'm guessing based on that plug.
Okay, cool. Kiri says, quiet Christmas for us this year. Kiri, are you dying because Glenn needs to be here helping me wire my hood in?
Now I just have to. It's gonna tweak my OCD.
So this is how this works.
In.
You ask Tactical a question, and then he obsesses on it until he gets all of the answers. So I don't know. What did you guys do for Thanksgiving? Anything exciting happen in your neck of the woods, or was it sort of a quiet year? What I noticed here is there were a lot of people like driving yesterday, both on the way to and from. Margot says, I think we're driving on Christmas Day, 12-ish hour drive. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of people. Like there's a period of time on Christmas where there's people on the road, but mostly traffic is fairly light. I used to go from Medford, Oregon to Portland or either way which is about a 5-hour drive. And if you drove on Christmas Day, it was fairly light traffic, which was kind of nice. You know, the day before Christmas, like Christmas Eve, that's when all the traffic is. I've flown on Christmas Day. The deal is there aren't a lot of restaurants open on Christmas Day, although, as I recall, something was open once when I don't know, like IHOP or something was open, or I don't remember. Denny's probably is open. So it's just a way like lighter day. It's actually not a bad travel day. Yesterday, though, people were all over the road, and they were also all over the road, like not staying in their lanes. So that was a little crazy. Okay, so back to the homestead. So did you figure out your thing?
Yeah.
Power fist. Oh, you actually fisted me. Last time I did this to them, we're going to recreate something. He had a success, and I was like, power fist, and this is what he did. You can leave me hanging? Yeah, that's what he did to me last time. I was like, he's like, you could tell he was amused, but he kept looking nervously at the fist because the social pressure there was to hit it, right? Whatever. Yeah, that's what it's like to live around here.
I'm over trying to fit into other people's social boxes.
You definitely don't fit in a social box. I don't mean that mean, but you don't.
No, I don't. I look inside of somebody's social box and just think, wow, everything in here is stupid.
Oh, now. Judgmental Tactical has arrived. Our first Christmas here, and my daughter and son-in-law and the grandchildren will be here. I'm very excited. We do steaks also. Yeah, I have a turkey coming that I can cook as well, but I think I'm going to save that for some sort of January or February gathering as opposed to cooking a turkey for 2 people.
On the steaks for holiday thing, completely okay with that. I actually just watched a video with a history guy that went through how bacon being a breakfast food was just a marketing campaign to get people to eat more pork.
It worked because bacon's delicious.
Well, bacon is delicious, but I don't think they needed a marketing campaign to label it as a breakfast food.
It worked. Marketing campaigns actually work. That's why they keep doing them.
Well, I know they work. But when somebody tells me that I can't eat bacon for dinner because it's a breakfast food, that's exactly why I don't fit into people's social boxes.
Makes sense. Yes, all pig is delicious. We did, I cooked a ham yesterday, and I didn't cook a ham I cured and made, which would typically be what's up because we're just about through all the pork in the freezer. So I didn't have one. So I went to the store and I spent money on a ham, and it cost $20, which is super cheap. That's cheap, right? I was expecting it to be more. But I didn't plan ahead enough to plan to get a high-end whatever East Tennessee cured ham from the specialty store, that whatever. I would have totally been all about that. And then I cooked the ham, and it was done because it was a pre-cooked ham, because they're usually pre-cooked at the store. It's very hard to find one that's not been cooked. And it took 3 hours to cook, and then I served it. And I was like, wow. That's not how my life usually goes. Usually it's I cured the ham, I smoked the ham, I cooked the ham. It wasn't cooked yet, so it took the last ham I cooked was this big, huge, like a beach ball size, not quite beach ball size, like a skinny beach ball, an oval beach ball. Took me 14 or 15 hours to cook it all the way.
Probably tasted better than that one.
It probably did, yeah. But ham is an easy button food for the holiday. I'm just saying. Yeah. It's if you buy that kind of ham, it's just done. The 15-hour one, I remember I was supposed to bring it to cook to Christmas dinner, and I finally ended up cutting a hunk off that was cooked all the way and bringing that because it was more than we could eat anyway, and then leaving it to finish cooking the bone-in part. So that's how I learned my lesson about how long it takes to cook things, even though I screwed that up on the butt last week. I cooked a pork butt last week. and I put it in at like 8 in the morning or 9 in the morning. I can't remember. And by 6 p.m., it still wasn't as done as I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And then, but and I had to finish it in the oven. So it was up to temp. So it was, safe to eat. And then we ate like butt steaks, basically, like slices, like it was slicing, not pulling. And then whatever was left, I threw into the crock pot and went overnight. And then it was finally pulled pork. So what I learned about that, because usually I just cook a butt and serve a butt the same day, is that next time I decide I'm serving a butt, I'm cooking it the day before, just in case I have to crock pot it overnight so that it works, or cook it overnight so that it's all the way pullable.
Yeah.
And then I'm just reheating it at that point. So a lot of what we're doing here is food right now. So we are now in the midst of like real freeze time.
Yeah.
And how's that going? What are you doing about that? I see we still have water to the outside.
Yeah, that needs to get drained.
Yeah.
I've got 1 or 2 garden hoses that need to get like disconnected and fully drained. Then make sure the pump house is closed up tonight.
That was the third thing I had to do last night, was close the pump house.
Probably didn't get done.
It did. Kurt did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I did not go.
No, he got out of the car, went down there to close the door, and then I went to cover the garden, and then there was the third thing.
The chickens.
Chickens, yeah. You did the chickens.
Yeah.
We each did one thing.
So I've still got a couple of things that I need to wrap up, and
how's
we'll
the
make it
prepper
through
pantry
this.
going to do through the freeze? It's going down to 19.
I think it'll do fine tonight, just because, like, I meant to get the rabbit water plugged in last night and completely forgot about that, and it was fine just because the water temp was warm enough from the daytime.
Even the little ones?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And so I need to actually deal with that today, though. So
yeah, so we're in keep water from freezing mode, but it'll only last about a week, and then it gets warmer again. This hole behind us that still hasn't been covered with something nice looking is how we get water to the outside hose spigot on the side of my house, and it used to be in the attic.
Yeah.
It's no longer in the attic, right?
No.
So I've talked about like designing your homestead for older age. And one of the things you don't want to have to do twice a year or more is climb into your attic to drain the whole stupid system. So when the living room was redone, he put an access panel here to do so that we didn't have to do that anymore. And then that means like the draining of the system's way easier because those valves are in here. And then we don't risk falling downstairs to drain a stupid system. Speaking of which, he's going to do it right now.
Done.
Done. Do you have to blow air through it?
I will, just to make sure.
Then we open so that's it. And then we open the spigots outside. The other thing about this for designing for old age is nothing that he just turned is a faucet that has to turn multiple times to get pressure like hose spigots. It's all a 90-degree on off. And a lot of our newer hose spigots are 90-degree on and off, because what also happens is twisting things gets harder, as it turns out. Yeah. So that works out really well. Beth Emily says breakfast for dinner is the best. We could do ham and eggs tonight.
It's not breakfast for dinner.
You want to do ham and eggs tonight? And potato pancakes?
Okay.
Will you eat potatoes if I cook them?
I would eat a little bit.
I have a little bit of left. So we came home without all the leftovers. So our friend Matt and Ashley have a lot of leftovers. And I did that on purpose because a lot of what we eat for Thanksgiving, we don't eat normally. But I did come home with some mashed potatoes. There's a pumpkin pie in there that hopefully Mom wants. If not. And then we came home with leftover ham.
Yeah.
And Kurt made a little to-go thing that he took for his drive home.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice, because a lot of times when I host, I end up with a lot of stuff. We might have one more day of turkey dressing or whatever, and then that's it. Because it's mostly just meats and vegetables here. So that part was also nice. Not looking and feeling guilty about all these things I'm not going to eat.
I just don't make the things that I'm not going to eat.
Ashley was aggressively sending people home with leftovers though too. She's like, take the leftovers, because she's trying to end up in the same place. Like, too many leftovers doesn't work well. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about sheep hooves. So we noticed that Bruni was limping a couple of days ago,
Yeah.
last weekend. And so Monday morning, I trimmed, he caught her and held her down. I trimmed her hooves, and she had some buildup there that was not great.
No.
How's she walking now?
When I was over there last night, I didn't get a really good look at her, but she appeared to be walking mostly normal.
Yeah.
So I want to get a good look at her today just to make sure.
Yeah, I'd like to look at her feet again. While we were doing that, he caught 2 more, and I trimmed 3 sets of hooves. One of my regrets with the sheep right now is they're not friendly enough to catch easily. Some of them are, some of them aren't. I don't know if we'll be able to remedy that, but I'd like to put a concerted effort in on the younger ones to try to get them more handleable. So our goal is going to be to catch 3 a week and get their hooves as long as it works. And it has to be done in the morning for it to work.
Yeah.
So it works really well for him to catch it and hold it and me to trim the hooves. And I guess if we had a sheep shoot, that would work better too. But they're still like not super thrilled about the whole situation. It kind of makes me want to try that roofing triangle thing.
Yeah.
And see if they'll play on it and if that'll like file their hooves down on the regular. Because if we can get them to maintain their own hooves, then that's way easier.
Yeah.
But Little Sheep lets us touch her, so she got done, and then Amy got done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Allie definitely needs it too.
Have you witnessed any evidence that we're having baby sheep this spring?
Not yet, but I haven't really spent enough time over there actually watching and paying attention to them.
I saw him making eyes at somebody, but it was literally just making eyes at somebody. It wasn't anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not sure, but I'm also in the scramble point in time of the year, as if it's not all year, but like right now is extra trying to wrap everything up before it actually gets cold, because it's cold enough that I don't want to be outside right now.
Yeah, so he's trying to finish the exterior fence. How far away from done is that at this point? The perimeter fence.
It's close. I've got a post that I need to put in up by the goat pasture. I've got some T-posts that I need to put in up there. And then it'll be down to putting a gate in at the pump house and a stretch of fence down by the workshop. And then there's a couple of spots where we got to figure out what the gate situation is going to be, if we're going to be using it for containing dogs. Right now, I've got it set up so that I've got a couple of 6-foot pieces of cattle panel that I can just move from gate section to gate section and just with a carabiner clip it to the fence, which works for the sheep, but we'll need to do something different for dogs.
Yeah, we could electrify it and then they won't want to ever go near there again.
Well, that's also, it's a nice thought, but that's also something that I don't want to do because I don't want them afraid to go back to certain areas.
That makes sense. Margot says, I'm putting together a turkey leftovers pie today, crust on the bottom and stuffing on the top. Yeah, you can like there. So here's some ideas for how to use leftovers. Let's talk about that. She's basically taking a pie crust, putting turkey and probably spices and maybe a little bit of gravy in there, topping it with stuffing, and then you can bake that. And that's a whole new turkey dish. I used to do when I ate pasta, I would do turkey mac and cheese, which was pretty good. What I'm doing with the potatoes that are left over is I will add egg to it and I will fry them and make potato pancakes. They hold together better if you add flour. I'm not going to add flour because I'm not trying to add wheat. I could add almond flour, I guess, but whatever, it'll be fine. As long as you make them small enough in that situation and add an extra egg to what you'd usually add, they work great. These potatoes are going to want a little garlic powder in them. And I might even put some shredded cheese in there.
That'd be legit.
Yeah, that'd be really good. And then we'll have ham because I don't have turkey leftovers. And we'll have green beans that I've canned. And that'll be dinner. I might make a salad. It depends on how tired I am. I'm going to be getting home really close to 5 o'clock and then start cooking because Mama Sauce is coming to town today. So that's another thing. Turkey and your scrambled eggs, or make a turkey omelet, is really delicious. I always just like the turkey bowl, which is all of the leftovers in one bowl reheated with gravy on top. And everything just kind of mixes together.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what I made, and I can't. It was something similar concept to the potato pancake things, but I used Parmesan cheese, and that sent it like way over the top.
Yeah, Parmesan would be good there. Yeah, potato pancakes, just add an egg. Yeah, just don't make them big, make them little, so they're like little like crab cake size.
Yeah.
The German potato pancakes I make are with grated potatoes, but we don't have that.
Yeah.
Yesterday, everybody got through putting their plates up, and we had the potatoes off somewhere else because they were in a crock pot plugged in to keep them hot.
Nobody knew they were there.
Nobody knew they were there, and they saw me with potatoes, and they're like, "There's mashed potatoes," and I was like, "Yes, go by the dessert table." Please do not send me home with 9 gallons of mashed potatoes. Yeah, Beth Emily says, "Ooh, Parmesan. Yeah, that'd be great. Any kind of cheese in there. You can spice it up with all sorts of good stuff. You can put onions, like grated onions in there. That makes it delicious. You'll cook it longer if you do that, if they're raw. Or you can saute them up and caramelize them and then add them to the potatoes. Lots of stuff you can do. We've been having a lot of Swiss chard off the garden. So I had a mountain of Swiss chard. Like, I'm gesturing with my hand. I'm not lying with my hands about how big that mountain was. That I swear I cooked down and 6 people ate it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it barely fit in the pan. And I'm like, wow, it just greens shrink down so much when you cook them.
Yeah.
But the Swiss chard is doing great. We don't have the garlic in yet. And that's a problem now.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm doing with the seed garlic is putting some in that bed. And if we can fill the other bed with soil, I'll put garlic over there and I'll put leaves on top of it.
That's the other thing that I was doing this morning, was trying to get to a point to where I can muck the coop out, and a lot of that's going to end up in those beds.
But if I'm planting garlic, we shouldn't put that in the one with garlic. Okay. It'll be too hot.
Okay.
We can put soil in and some on top is how we can do that. And then it will compost in place. And by the time the garlic shoots up.
I was going to put the stuff out of the duck coop in and then finish topping it with soil.
That's what we should do for the beds we're not putting garlic in. But the garlic's underground, and if it touches it, because I've made this mistake before with hot duck litter and the garlic, it burns them.
Okay.
Yeah, it fries them. It's too much nitrogen, I guess. Pinky's Homestead and Adventures. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Yes, we did. Ending with a nice little session in my hot tub, and then I went to bed. I was tired.
You stayed up talking for a while.
Yeah, I stayed up till 10:30.
Oh.
Yeah, and then Eric and Kurt discovered they were interested in getting to know each other. That sounds like they're dating. They weren't. They were just like here, and they're like, "Oh, I like to travel too," and they started talking about all the places in the world they've traveled. That was fun to watch happen. I have nomad friends. A lot of nomad friends. Okay. So garden's looking good. I haven't harvested the last of the jalapeno peppers. I actually left them out last night with intention to see how they do, and they didn't get frosted at all.
Yeah, I don't think much of anything did last night.
So last night they promised us 29 degrees, and I don't think it went down that low.
If it did not do so for long.
Yeah. But today I do need to get the jalapenos off, and then I'm going to slice those up and freeze them to just throw into sautés throughout the winter and soups. That's my plan.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear gloves while I'm doing that so I don't touch my face after touching the jalapenos and cry, because that's an annual tradition that I'd like to stop doing. What else is going on in the homestead? How are the ducks?
ducks want their coop mucked out, and they're out of vitamin water. So I need to get that top back up today. There's a list of things that I need to catch back up on today. But other than that, I mean, they're ducks acting like ducks.
So we had rabbits last week and they didn't make it. On their second day, I noticed that the bottom of their nest had like scooted out. And I thought it would be okay because there was insulation, but they got too cold. So the lesson there is next time I notice the bottom of the nest is out. What I was worried about was if I messed around the nest too much, the mom would eat them anyway.
Yeah.
It's better just to try to get another bottom under there and make sure they're warm for the night than to worry about the mom eating them because they died anyway. So we're breeding the rabbits again this week, and then hopefully in another 4 weeks we'll have some more babies. But I like to learn my lessons the hard way, and that was definitely like I literally the voice in my head was like, fix the bottom of the thing, and then the logical voice was like, but the mom might not like you messing around in there. Yeah. So yeah, Packrat says you win some, you lose some. Yep. It's to me, it's like we invest so much in this, and then that was 6 or 7 rabbits that could have fed dogs or fed us, and that will not be. So then the next time, yeah.
Yeah.
But we do have about 8 rabbits that are going to be processed in a couple weeks. So.
Yeah.
So that's what, yeah, nest. Best boxes are going in tomorrow for us. Or nest boxes are going. Oh, so DFW has nest boxes going in. Our thing is we got these metal nest boxes, and I think they came with no bottoms, or they came with wood bottoms.
I don't remember.
No, they came with wood bottoms that is gross because they like poop on that and then it soaks in and then it rots them. And then you have to cut new ones. And I think the idea is you just cut a new wood bottom every time. So then the idea was let's get metal bottoms because we can clean those. But then what I've been using are like cutting boards from the Dollar Tree that I can cut to size. I've used wood before, but they just get nasty. And we've never sourced the metal for it. So like getting the metal for that would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to talk to Nighthawk about
I'm
that.
going to prioritize the tractor though. Personally.
Okay.
Yeah. Because getting the bunnies into the tractor is also a good idea. Because what we're doing is we're raising them in cages and then moving the babies to tractors in theory, except for the tractor is not done all the way. So. Yeah. And then so we do have one tractor, and the issue with that is the grass doesn't poke up through the mesh very well. And for a rabbit tractor, you need something along the bottom so they don't dig into the ground. And what the idea I got from Ryan Steva was put welded wire down where you're going to run the tractor a little bit before you run the tractor on it, and then put the tractor on it with no bottom and the welded wires there with the grass growing through, which will work. So yeah, you can go yell at him if you want to. Anyway, so that's what's up with the livestock. And other than that, we're just getting ready for winter, moving firewood around. I kind of felt like doing a video about this is what it's like to light a fire or maintain a fire in the morning. And I'll probably do that one morning this week. I would have done it this morning, but my fire went out in the middle of the night, which is why I'm sitting here in my heaviest flannel. It's a little chilly. I've got my wool slippers on. It's lambskin slippers on, and it's chilly in here. The next thing that happens after this live stream is I go back out to the roasting shack where it's not chilly, and I look at which orders still need to be produced today before the mailman comes. Mailman comes at 2:30, and then I go get Mama Thoth, and we come back here, have dinner, and then the whole thing starts over again tomorrow because tomorrow is also a mail day. So this time of year, usually I roast 2 to 3 times a week and produce 2 to 3 days a week. This time of year, I try to get things out as quickly as possible with one exception, and that's Monday. The Monday after Black Friday, the things I've mailed in the past end up going lost for a week or two. So I wait till Tuesday after Black Friday. So I hold orders on Monday, even though I produce them. because I think a lot of people sell a lot over the weekend with their Black Friday deals, and then they ship them Monday, and then the post office gets overwhelmed. And I think what happens is the packages that are obviously going to be late anyway get deprioritized in favor of delivering everything else on time. It's like, well, we're already screwed on that one, so we're just going to deliver the things we can. It's kind of like sometimes with flights, like all the people on this flight are screwed, and we're going to make sure all the other flights go out on time so we don't get like quadruple screwed having to pay for,
Yeah.
extra, flights for people that got more than 2 hours late or whatever it is. There's something that happens when you are late where they have to give you the equivalent of your ticket back in credit.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. DFW says piece of cardboard for bottoms, cheap and compost. Cardboard has not worked for us because they chew through it.
Like they did with the cutting boards.
Yeah, that just happened to one cutting board.
Okay.
It didn't happen to the other one. That's why I have rabbits out there. They also had a cutting board, and they respected the cutting board. But the other white rabbit does not respect the cutting board. Nor was she terribly concerned that her little babies were cold. She didn't go in there and keep them warm, because she could have done that too.
She did do that at some point because I saw her.
Yeah, well, she was probably just feeding them. I haven't noticed mama rabbits doing much of that. It's more like, okay, eat. Okay, I'm going away. If you think about how they exist in the wild, they would be down in underground, and then they'd be keeping warm underground because it's warm underground unless it rained and filled up with water. So that's the deal there. Anything else to update on the homestead? What's your biggest accomplishment this week besides yelling at fencing?
I don't know, because I mean that's for the last 2 weeks. That's kind of been everything has been revolving around trying to finish some of that up.
Yeah.
But I mean, the nice part about it is like where I moved the boys the other day didn't take a lot of effort to set up. And I also set up one end of their next paddock, and I've got to grab a reel from the pasture to close off this 10-foot gap that's still missing a little bit of fencing. So their next paddock's probably 10 minutes worth of work in total to set up. And it's actually that paddock I'm running through as one, but I could realistically in the summertime split that into two.
Yeah, we grow grass quickly here in the summertime as long as it rains. We did, going into last weekend, we weren't sure what the transition would look like for the pasture where we run the sheep.
Yeah.
And what's happening there is the father who owns the pasture, who's a friend, his son is taking it over, has bought it from his father to keep it in the family, because his father is at an age where maintaining anything over there isn't
Feasible.
he could probably force himself to do it, but it's not what he wants to do. And so his son bought it, and they're going to turn it into an Airbnb location by putting some little tiny homes there.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure like if he wanted to run cattle there instead of sheep because it's land. But I also know where he lives. He lives on 60 acres where he can run cattle right outside his back door. Way easier to take care of. So what I didn't know is if he was going to say, I'm going to do this Airbnb thing, and sometime next year we want you to transition the sheep off. And he's a cool dude, really nice dude, and so I'm sure he would have given us lots of notice for that. But he'd already kind of said something about keeping the sheep there anyway. So we just had a talk with him about what he's looking to do, and how we can not have the sheep in the way. But the good news is he's totally cool with the sheep still being there. And, the benefit to him is he doesn't have to pay for it to be bush hogged every year, a couple times a year.
Yeah.
Because the sheep graze it down, and then that saves the money on that. So it's sort of a win-win situation. Plus, we'll be over there dealing with sheep, which means there's some eyes on the property when it's being rented out, which is also nice to have when you have a rental like that. So good conversations. And it's, it'll be interesting to see that property get sort of fixed up again,
Yeah.
because it hasn't really been. It used to be that George would be out there all the time,
Yeah.
and then it's just gotten to where he doesn't come out for the weekend anymore. So, the other thing I've noticed over there, lots of deer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Lots and lots of deer.
We have standing agreements.
What are your deer standing agreements?
Well, I mean, they don't bother me. They don't tear my fences up. And when I go over there, I don't drive directly at them unless I absolutely have to. So most of the time, they just stand there and stare at me. So
All girl sheep, right? I mean, girl deer. All does.
mostly, I've seen a couple of bucks around.
Yeah, I've seen 2 bucks this year.
Yeah.
And then,
so
I have an agreement with another neighbor where he takes some electricity from my property and gives me a deer every year. But he had 1 or 2 knee replacements last year.
yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that's not happening. And then his buddy said, hey, if I shoot a deer over at my place, do you want it? And I'm like, I absolutely want all the deer that anybody shoots.
Yeah.
I will process it, or you can take it to the processor. I'll pay the processor. I don't care. Want the deer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last year we didn't get venison. My neighbor's wife was sick and she's since passed away. This year I'm hoping that means we get a deer. Usually I get a deer delivered to me on Thanksgiving Day, and I'm cooking Thanksgiving dinner and also trying to figure out how to process a deer. And then Nighthawk skins it, guts it, and quarters it and puts it in my fridge. That's what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to unplug the outside fridge today too.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the update from the Holler Homestead. We're having a great time, and just, because the majority of the money I make is from hollerroast.com, and this is the time of year where we have the highest sales. It's been top priority pretty much every day when I wake up. It's like, what am I doing for Holler Roast today? Even yesterday, even though there was no shipping, I did some things for Holler Roast first thing in the morning, because I know that it's Black Friday and people are doing their Christmas shopping. So if you guys want to help me, you don't have to spend money at Holler Roast. Just tell people what a great gift this or that item would make. Like the sampler pack for $35. It's 3 6-ounce bags of coffee in a little bag, and it's pretty. And it's a nice little sampler. People who like coffee, so they can have that variety. And it makes a really nice gift that just goes straight to their door. Done.
Yeah.
Easy peasy Japanesey, right? Now I'm racist, by the way.
Well, I mean, that's already the case.
Yeah,
you're white, so
I
you're
know,
racist.
I am. It is true. That was a phrase that was said in the 80s.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah, we said some stuff in the 80s, didn't we? Reflections. Guys, thanks for joining the live stream today. We'll be back next week. I'm changing the schedule in December. We are going to start broadcasting in the afternoon around 1 p.m., except for the Tuesday lives, which are already scheduled at 9:30 in the morning. I'm doing that because the mailman comes about 2:30, and because Holler Roast is the priority through December, I roast in the morning and then can do a show, and then I won't be sitting here thinking, hey, I should be out there roasting and shipping orders. Instead, I'll be out there roasting and shipping orders and then do the show in the afternoon, which is what I did originally with the podcast back in the day. I always did in the afternoon. You guys just didn't know it because it wasn't live back then. But that's what's happening for December. And then we will I think I'm going to ask everybody who's on my email list what schedule or what time of day they like seeing the live streams, out of curiosity. Is it better in the morning? Is it better in the afternoon? Some of you are going to say morning, some are afternoon. That's why I've had a couple of mornings and one afternoon live stream for the last, few months. So anyway, with that, if you like the show and want to support the work I'm doing here, you can do it in 2 ways. 1, get your coffee at hollerroast.com, or at least just spread the word about it. 2, consider becoming a member. Head over to livingfreeintennessee.com to find out more. With that, guys, go out, make it a great week.